I came from a wealthy and respected family in Tyrone, Ireland. I was the younger of two girls, and we were our parents' only children. My sister was 6 years older than I was, so when I was small, we did not spend much time playing together. I was only 12 when she was married. I remember her wedding day perfectly. The house was full of people, all of them cheerful, laughing, singing, and celebrating. Yet I felt unhappy when my sister left with her husband, Mr. Carew. She had always been kind to me, kinder even than my mother. So when she went away to begin her new life in Dublin, I cried. My mother and father did not care greatly for me. They had hoped for sons and had little interest in a daughter. About a year after my sister's marriage, a letter came from Mr. Carew. He wrote that my sister was ill and wished to return to Tyrone for a while to be with her family. I was sorry to hear she was sick, but I was also delighted that she was coming home. They are leaving Dublin on Sunday, my father told me, and they should arrive here on Tuesday evening. When Tuesday came, the day seemed endless. Hour after hour passed, and all the while I listened for the sound of my sister and her husband arriving. At last the sky turned dark, and soon it was nearly midnight, yet I still could not sleep. I kept listening and waiting. Then, suddenly, at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard a distant sound. I ran from my bedroom down to the sitting room. "They're here! They're here!" I called to my father, and together we hurried to open the front door so that we could see more clearly. We stood there for a few minutes, and then we heard it again, someone crying far off in the darkness. But we saw nothing. There were no lights and no people. We stepped outside, ready to greet them and help my sister with her luggage, yet no one was there. No one came. My father looked at me, and I looked at him. Neither of us understood. "I know I heard something," he said. "Yes," I replied. "I heard it too, Father. But where are they?" We went back into the house without speaking further. A sudden fear had come over us. The next day, a man arrived with terrible news. My sister was dead. She had been taken ill on Sunday, grown worse on Monday, and on Tuesday, at about 1 o'clock in the morning, she died, at exactly the hour when we had stood outside in the darkness, waiting for her. I never forgot that night. For the next 2 years, I was deeply unhappy. One might almost say that I stopped living. I had no wish to do anything, and no desire to speak to anyone. Before long, Mr. Carew married another young woman in Dublin, and I felt bitter that he had forgotten my sister so soon. I was now the only child in a rich and important family, and before I had even turned 14, men had begun visiting our house. They came to meet me and, perhaps, to marry me. But I liked none of them, and I felt far too young to think about marriage. When I was 16, my mother took me to Dublin. "Dublin is a great city," she said. "There we shall meet richer and more interesting men than those dull ones in Tyrone. We shall easily find you a suitable husband there." In Dublin, I gradually became happier. I met many pleasant people, and every evening I went dancing. A great number of young men came to talk to me and asked me to dance. I enjoyed their company. Little by little, I began to laugh and live again, and I no longer thought of my dead sister every hour of the day. But my mother was not pleased. She wanted me to marry quickly. One night, before I went to bed, she entered my room and asked, "Do you know Lord Glenfallen?" "Oh, yes," I answered. "That ugly old man from Carrigilla." "He is neither ugly nor old, Fanny," my mother said sharply. "He belongs to a very rich and distinguished family, and he wishes to marry you." He loves you. Loves me? Wants to marry me? But he must be mistaken, Mother, I cried. I do not love him. How can I marry a man I do not love? Think carefully, Fanny, my mother replied quietly. He is a good man, and he wants you for his wife. You are a very fortunate girl. After she left, I sat for a long time in silence. Lord Glenfallen was kind and agreeable, I thought. I did not love him, no, but I did like him. He always spoke of interesting things. I had never felt happy with my mother and father, but when I was with him, I always felt more at ease. The next morning when I saw my mother, I answered with a single word. Yes. Lord Glenfallen and I were married the following spring, and 2 days after the wedding we said goodbye to my family and left Tyrone. 3 days later we reached Cahergilla, and I saw my husband's lovely house for the first time. It stood near a river, with many trees and flowers in the grounds. Birds were singing in the branches and the sky was bright blue. I stood beside my husband, looking at it all, and I felt wonderfully happy. Come, my love, he said. You must meet Martha. She cooks, cleans, and knows everything about the house. So we went indoors, and I met Martha, a cheerful old woman with smiling blue eyes. She showed me through the house. I felt delighted to be there. It seemed such a cheerful place. Women were singing in the kitchen, men were lighting fires in the sitting rooms, and dogs and cats were everywhere. Come with me now, madam, Martha said, and see your bedroom. Then we can bring up your bags and you may wash before dinner. I followed her, and soon we stopped before a large brown door. This is your room, she said, opening it. I stared inside and felt myself turn cold with fear. In front of me was something large and black. I could not tell what it was. It looked like an old coat, but with no one inside it. I jumped back in alarm and moved away from the doorway. Is anything wrong, madam? Martha asked. No, perhaps not, I answered quickly. But I thought I saw something in there. A large black coat when you opened the door. Martha's face turned white. What is it? I asked. Now you look frightened. Something bad is going to happen, she said. Whenever someone sees the black coat in this house, we know some misfortune will soon come to the Glenfallen family. I saw it myself when I was a child, and the next morning old Lord Glenfallen died. Something dreadful is going to happen now, madam. I know it. We went downstairs for dinner. I felt uneasy and afraid, but I said nothing to my husband about the black coat. I wanted to forget it and be happy again. The next day, Lord Glenfallen and I walked together through the house and gardens because I wanted to know my new home better. I like this house and everyone in it, I said, and I am happy to be here with you. It is far better than Tyrone. For a long time, my husband said nothing. He walked on with his head bent, deep in thought. Then all at once he turned to me, took my hand, and said, Fanny, listen to me. Listen carefully. There is something I must ask of you. Please stay only in the rooms at the front of the house. Never go into the rooms at the back of the building, nor into the little garden by the back door. Never. Do you understand me, Fanny? His face was pale and troubled. I heard his words, but I did not understand why he had so suddenly become a different man. At Cahergilla, he no longer smiled or laughed. Perhaps the back of the house was dangerous, I thought, but he refused to say anything more about it. We returned to the house without speaking, and once more I tried to put his warning from my mind and be as happy as before. About a month later, I saw the other woman for the first time. One day, I wanted to go walking in the gardens. It was a beautiful day, and after lunch, I ran upstairs to fetch my hat and coat. But when I opened the door of my room, there was a woman sitting by the fire. She looked about 40 years old and wore a black coat. Her face was white, and when I looked more closely, I saw that her eyes were white as well. She was blind. "Madam," I said, "this is my room. There must be some mistake." "Your room," she answered. "A mistake? No, I do not think there is any mistake. Where is Lord Glenfallen?" "Down in the drawing room," I answered. "But who are you, and why are you in my room?" "Tell Lord Glenfallen that I want him," was all she said. "I must tell you that I am Lady Glenfallen, and I want you to leave my room at once," I said. "Lady Glenfallen? You are not, she screamed, and struck me hard across the face. I cried out for help, and Lord Glenfallen quickly arrived. I ran out as he rushed in, and I stayed outside the door, listening. I did not catch every word, but I could tell that Lord Glenfallen was furious, and that the blind woman was deeply unhappy. When he came out, I asked, "Who is that woman, and why is she in my bedroom?" But my husband did not answer. Again, his face was white with fear. He said only, "Forget her." But I could not forget her, and with each passing day it became harder and harder to speak to my husband. He was always silent now, always sad and frightened. He would sit for hours staring into the fire with miserable eyes. I did not know the reason, and he would not tell me. One morning, after breakfast, Lord Glenfallen suddenly said, "I have found the answer. We must go away to another country, to France, or perhaps Spain. What do you think, Fanny?" He did not wait for my answer, but hurried out of the room. I sat thinking for a long time. Why must we leave Cahergilla? I could not understand it. And I did not want to go so far from my mother and father in Tyrone. They were old now, and my father was sometimes ill. They had never loved me greatly, yet I still wished to remain near them. I thought about it all day, and when my husband came in to dinner that evening, I still did not know what to say. I said nothing. After dinner, I felt very tired and went up early to my bedroom. I hoped for a good night's sleep so that I could think about everything again the next day. I closed my eyes and fell asleep. But I slept badly because I dreamed of the black coat. Suddenly I woke. Everything was dark and silent, but someone stood at the foot of my bed. A hand held a light, and behind it was the blind woman. In her other hand, she carried a knife. I tried to get out of bed and run to the door, but she stopped me. "If you want to stay alive, do not move," she said. "Tell me one thing. Did Lord Glenfallen marry you?" "Yes, he did," I answered. "He married me before 100 witnesses." "Then that is very sad," she said, "because I do not think he told you that he already has a wife. Me. I am his wife, not you, young woman. You must leave this house tomorrow, because if you remain here, do you see this knife? I shall kill you with it." Then she left the room without a sound. I did not sleep again that night. When morning came, I told my husband everything. "Who is the blind woman?" I asked him. "She told me last night that she is your wife and that I am not." "Have you been in the rooms at the back of the house?" my husband demanded angrily. "I told you that you must never go there." "But I did not," I answered. "I stayed in my bed all night. She came to me. Please tell me what is happening." My husband's face grew white again, and for a long time he said nothing. At last he replied, "No, she is not my wife. You are." Do not listen to her. She does not know what she is saying." And then he left the room. I ran to find Martha. I no longer liked that house. My husband had become a strange and difficult man, and I did not understand him. Who was the blind woman? I wanted to know everything. "Do not cry, madam," Martha said when I found her. "Sit down and listen to me. What I am about to tell you is not pleasant. The blind woman, the woman in the black coat, is dead. What you saw was her ghost. She was married to your husband. She was the first Lady Glenfallen. No one knows how she died. Her room was at the back of the house. Someone saw your husband on the night she died, and he had a knife in his hand. But did he kill her? No one knows. When we found her, the knife was lying on the floor beside her, and her eyes? Someone had cut out her eyes after she died. Perhaps he did not want her to see his other women, his next wife. You. I did not wait to speak to my husband again. I left that very day. I was too frightened to remain even one more minute at Cahergilla. I knew the blind woman would come back and kill me. I said goodbye to Martha, took my bags, and told the driver to take me back to Tyrone. I am happy living here now with my mother and father. The house is quiet. I sleep well every night, and they are kinder to me than they used to be. Sometimes my dead sister comes to visit me in the night, but I am never afraid. She tells me that the blind woman is still searching for me at Cahergilla and still wishes to kill me. She is jealous of me, but she can never find me here. She must wait for the next Lady Glenfallen.